Hey, welcome back to the channel. It is no secret we have been in a low inventory market for a very long time, really since 2020. 2023 was historically low. 2024 looks to be low, but hey, it is starting to move in the right direction a little bit. So if you've been trying to buy a home, I understand it's been frustrating, constantly in multiple offers, maybe not getting your offer accepted. Well, today I'm going to go over the top 10 things you can do to help your offer stand out amongst a crowded field. So hopefully you can get your offer accepted and get your next home. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Steve. I'm a team lead for the Three Rivers Real Estate team at Real Brokerage. I produce content for people just looking to buy or sell real estate in the Twin Cities, whether you're already here or you're relocating here. I want to break it down for you, break down neighborhoods, break down the process for you in general. I said today I'm going to go over the top 10 ways to help your offer stand out and hopefully get accepted so when you go to buy your next home. Number one thing you can do is start looking at for sale by owners. And if you're working with a real estate agent, they can pull a list for you of what is currently listed on the market if it's being advertised anywhere. Sometimes with for sale by owners, it's just a sign sitting in the yard. But the fact is, for sale by owner homes typically aren't marketed very well, so they don't get as much attention, and you might not be up against multiple offers in these types of scenarios. And like I said, sometimes it's just a sign sitting in the yard. No one even knows the property is for sale. So if you're working with an agent and you have a specific area that you're focusing in and you want to buy in, make sure you're driving that neighborhood frequently so you can see if there's any new signs popping up of homes that might be for sale that are never hitting the MLS or really never hitting an online presence whatsoever. And you can very easily find a steal of a deal just sitting there because no one knows it's even for sale. All right, number two is buying the home as is in its current condition. Now, this doesn't mean you have to waive your inspection. I hear that all the time. People are saying, hey, are people still waiving inspections? Can I get an inspection if I want to buy a home this year? And yes, sometimes you can still get your inspection done, but you might have to agree up front that, hey, we're not going to do any repairs, or we're only going to do major repairs if the ticket price is over $10,000 or $15,000. Or you can do it just, hey, this is a pass-fail inspection. I'm going to do the inspection. I'm not going to ask for any repairs, but I'm going to reserve the right to walk away from this if the foundation is crumbling or there's mold in the attic or something like that. And that is a great way to put the seller's mind at ease, but still make sure that you're getting a home inspection and you're buying a home that's safe to be lived in. Number three is writing a personal letter with your offer. Now, I'm going to get some flack for this because it's been stated that we're not supposed to show personal letters to sellers when they come through on offers. But hey, it never hurts to try. Agent might still be able to do that, might get still presented for it. A lot of times people want to know that the people buying their home are going to care for it. They love the neighborhood. So it never hurts to try. It might not get presented, but what do you have to lose? It's just submitting it with your offer there, and you never know. It might just bump you up a bit from somebody who didn't submit a letter. All right, next up is including something that's called a rent back within your offer. Sometimes the sellers need the funds from their home to buy their next home, and they don't want to try to line everything up with you buying theirs and then them closing on their house right afterwards as well. You can alleviate some of the stress for them, especially if you're not in a hurry to move, by agreeing to rent their home back to them after closing. So you can close on the first of the month. They can get to check that they need to buy their next home, but they can stay in that home for another week or another month and rent it back to you. And literally you collect rent, you have a security deposit, all those things, but they're able to have the funds they need liquid to go buy their next home. And again, this works really best if you're not in a hurry too. If you're up on a timeline and you're going to wind up homeless, this doesn't work out very well. But if you have a lease that overlaps by a couple of weeks or a month, this can be very advantageous for sellers. So again, it allows them to have their funds available to go buy their next house. Now, obviously, the biggest thing you can do is purchase price, offer over list price. And if you're in multiple offers, odds are it's going to go over list price. Now, if you don't want to drastically overpay and just throw darts in the dark, what you can do is offer something called an escalation clause. Basically, it says very simply, hey, we'll beat the next offer that you have by X amount, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, as long as you show proof of another offer that is currently beating me. Some agents don't allow escalation clauses and they just want to see your best offer. But if your agent talks with their agent and they say they're open to escalation clauses, why not give it a shot? Now, the risk here is typically with an escalation clause where you say, hey, I'll beat the next offer by $1,000 up to a certain price, right? This doesn't go to infinity. So if you're bidding on a $300,000 house, maybe you have a cap at $330,000. Now, the risk here is that you just showed your hand. They know exactly what you're willing to pay top dollar for. So if you get a smart agent, they might very well just counter you at $330 and ignore your escalation clause. But the worst case scenario of that is you get the home that you want for the price you were willing to pay anyway. So at the end of the day, you're still buying the house that you want and you still got your offer accepted. All right, next up, be accommodating to the seller as far as closing date goes. Sometimes we know what it is. Sometimes you need your agent to ask, hey, is there a preferred closing date for the sellers? Sometimes they need flexibility. They need 60 or 90 days to get their next house figured out. Sometimes they want to go quick and they want it done in 2 weeks. Having that information is huge, and make sure your agent is asking those kinds of questions so that you can put in the most competitive offer within that. And you know what? Honestly, you don't need to stop just at closing date. A lot of times you'll be amazed if you have your agent just simply ask, hey, I know we're multiple offers. My client really wants this house. What's it going to take to get this offer accepted? What do we have to do? What are the answers to the test? Now, some agents are going to say, hey, I can't disclose that. Other agents, however, are absolutely going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get it done. As an agent representing a seller, my job is to get the home sold for the price and terms that my client wants. If I had someone asking me what prices, what terms do your client want, I'm going to tell you. I have to tell you. As long as my client told me I can tell you and disclose that, I'm absolutely going to give you the answers to the test so I can get the best possible result for my client as selling the property. So if you're trying to buy that property, make sure your agent is asking those questions, and you will be surprised. You will get the answers to the test. You'll be able to figure out exactly what terms are important to them, exactly what you need to do to get your offer accepted. Next up is offering to pay for some of the seller's closing costs. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, my agent just said I can ask for seller's closing costs as a buyer, but you're saying I can submit payment to the seller for their closing costs? And at least in Minnesota, you absolutely can. When you're selling a home, you typically have around 1% of purchase price in closing costs. Those are outside of the commissions. They're things like state deed tax and title work and stuff like that. As a buyer, why not pick up some of that tab, make the bottom line a little bit better for the sellers there, and you'd be surprised how much they would like to see that. Simple thing to do. It's not going to add much more to your cash to close, but it's going to help the bottom line of the seller out. Next up is using home warranties to your advantage. When you're buying a home, you absolutely can add a home warranty that kicks in the date of closing and it protects major mechanicals from failing. But if you work with a couple of warranty companies, they offer home warranties for the sellers as well. That covers the sellers from the time of the accepted offer through closing. So you go through your inspection, you find out the furnace is, so if you go through your inspection, you find out the furnace is about to die, guess what? It might be covered under that warranty. Likewise, it just gives the sellers peace of mind that, hey, if we have a closing date 45 days from now, if something does bust, I don't have to worry about trying to get it fixed quickly. This home warranty is going to cover me. It's going to give me some peace of mind between the time the offer is accepted through the time of closing. Now, again, not all home warranty companies offer this. Make sure you're working with one who does, but it is such an awesome selling feature that can help your offer stand out. All right, the last one is simply get your offer in right away, especially if you are looking at the property early on the market. If you're the first offer in and you have a strong offer, sometimes people just don't want to deal with more showings and they might be apt to just take your offer right away. I see this all the time with busy families. It's hard if you're working from home and you have kids and after school activities and you want to be there on the weekends to accommodate showing after showing. If you just come in right away early, day one, give them a strong offer right away, they might be apt to go, you know what? I want to sit back, enjoy the weekend in my house, start packing. Let's just go with this first offer. It's everything that we want. They gave us the terms. It's a strong price. It seemed like a good buyer. Let's just accept it. Be done with it. You'd be surprised how often this works. And You can spruce this up a little bit if you're willing to, even putting a deadline on that offer. So you come in day one, maybe at noon on a Friday, and say, hey, I want a response by 6 o'clock tonight. I have a strong offer. Everything's here. Put a little bit of pressure on them. Now, you have to be willing to potentially walk away from this. Otherwise, it's just kind of an idle deadline. But you'd be surprised how often to say, hey, I want a response by 6 o'clock tonight, and how often I do get that response. Just puts a little bit of added pressure on those sellers that, you know what, you might walk and you might lose this really strong offer. And again, if they're ready and you're just sick of leaving the house, it might get done for you. So that's it. Those are some of my top tips to get your offer accepted in this competitive market right now. If you want to discuss more about your particular situation, especially if you're moving into the Twin Cities of Minnesota, feel free to call, text, email. All my contact information is below. I'm here to answer your questions. See you next time.